development and conference speaking, and of course for you for churches as well. We do workers training and youth training for churches. You can call us on 0269787 you know, if you want to reach us to do anything for you. We've been interviewing, and of course you can catch our interviews so far. Professor Stephen Adown, Klebo White, Bishop Titi Ofe, you know, Jacqueline the pharmacist, you know, Joyce through the furnace. That's the book. Dr. Randy Osai Bediako. You can catch all these interviews and the latest one today on our social media: Instagram Dime360, YouTube Dime Alabi, or you can call us on 02697875882. Send your WhatsApp comments to 0274533469 and 02022222054, and that's it. So today we are looking from the health segment. Okay, we're going to look at the health puri segment, and we are still talking about the mind. It is so crucial for us to make sure that we keep our minds healthy. And last week we looked at the star fruits for the mind. You know, we looked at insulin, the importance of it. Today our star fruit actually is the avocado pear. That's our star fruit. But we're also saying that there are three parts to our brain: the conative, which is actually the action area where you are your drive comes from, your action comes from; the cognitive, which is your thinking process or your intellectual mind, you know, where you have your discourse and you take your decisions; and then your affective, which is your feelings. And all three areas very important for you to make sure that it's healthy. And there are ways to do that. Sleep deprivation is one of the negative things that you could ever do to your mind. In fact, it's a punishment. You know, if you want to punish someone or alter somebody's brain function, or you want somebody to go senile or go off, deprive them of sleep for a certain number of days, and they would definitely start getting confused images and thoughts. And so sleep is key. Exercise is key for the brain and the mind. And you know, last week we differentiated between the brain and the mind. The brain is a physical representation of the mind. The mind is spiritual. The mind is unseen, and that is what dictates to the brain, and the brain then sends the information to the organs of your body. So your mind is very important, and I'm so glad today we are reviewing something about the state of mind and its importance, you know, the mindset that we need to transform. And that's what we're talking about. So I'm not going to do much today because my guest is so full that I just would leave you with those important few things about the mind. Okay, we're looking at the leafy green. You can see the leafy green vegetables on my set, and we say that these are the good things you need to take to help your brain activity and help your mind. Then contomere is key. Okay, the French beans, they call it, the carrots, the avocado pear is the star fruit for this week. Get an avocado pear. It's all over the place. You might think it's expensive, but you try ill health and you realize it's more expensive than to buy an avocado pear for 5 cedis or 6 cedis. You'll be doing yourself some good. Okay, so that's it for the mind today, because I really want to get into my guest this morning. I have a very special guest in the house, my big sister, my mentor, my friend. I haven't seen her personally for a while, and it's so good for me to have her on the show. You know, our health quote is that do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And onto that I go onto the book, The Transformed Mind. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, and that's what we're looking at. But let me introduce, I want to read what I have here so that I don't miss anything. That's how I want to do it today. Usually I'll tell you about them, but today I want to read. Okay, now I'm speaking about someone that was the first woman executive director of Ghana Chamber of Mines. Okay, she was a minister for local government in office. You can begin to guess who, see if you can guess. Under President Flight Lieutenant Rawlings in 1987 to 1988. Then she was also Minister for Information under the same Flight Lieutenant Rawlings. And then she was, well, this year actually she turned a certain number of years, which we're going to talk about. So I'm not going to give you her date of birth, but she has one child. Okay, by profession she's a reverend minister. She's also actually she's won a lot of awards. Okay, she's won let's go to the awards. She's a former Minister of State. She was nominated the 2011 Woman of the Year by the American Biographical Institute. Put your hands together. Yes. She received the Inspirational Woman Award at the Ghana UK-based Achievement, that's Cuba, Guba Awards 2015 for creating change, paving the way for women, and being the first female to head an African Chamber of Mines. Public Relations Person of the Year 2014 by the Institute of Public Relations. She's a management consultant and a professional counselor. She's currently the founder and executive director of Salt and Light Ministries. And the one thing for me that connects us is the choral music thing. My Sunday afternoon time with Auntie Joyce in my car, on my radio, no disturbances, alone with Auntie Joyce every Sunday afternoon on Sunny FM. So you can catch her there as well. So today I'm speaking about no other. I've already given you her nickname that we all call her, but she's Dr. Joyce Rosalind Aryee. Welcome, Auntie Joyce.
To me, I was wondering who you were talking about.
The impeccable, upfront, just honest, sincere Auntie Joyce.
Thank you so much.
That's what I see.
Well, let me make a little correction.
Yes.
I was given the portfolio of local government, but I did not actually take office.
Okay.
I'm better known for information and education. Okay. So that portfolio was given me, but there was a few reasons why
you didn't take it.
I never really took office. Yes.
Okay, so The Transformed Mind is the book we are reviewing this morning, and this is by Dr. Joyce Rosalind Aryee and Dr. Samuel Kranting. It's a joint effort. There's a synergy there, and I can see the synergy. Okay, when you go through the books, you can see it. So now let's dive into The Transformed Mind. I was saying earlier that every page has something that I want to turn into a discussion.
Okay.
But because of time, we can't do that. But for me, I just want to even start with the introductory page.
Yes.
You said that you talk about the world to come. Okay, the first sentence, you said, the world is our audience, Africa our isle, and Ghana our pulpit. We speak as citizens of a world to come. And again, this book has very like a triple-edged sword. A triple-edged sword. And so when you talk about the world to come, I saw two worlds. The spiritual world to come and the future of this continent.
Yes.
Am I
You are very
right?
right.
Yes.
You are very right.
Yes. So now, what kind of world, Auntie Joyce, let's start with Africa, what we see. What kind of world are we talking about? What is the future that you have, you expect from Africa?
The future for Africa that Dr. Kranting, Pipim, and I expect is a future that takes cognizance of the wealth of the continent.
Okay.
Physical wealth. We've got all the natural resources that you can think about. Not only those underground in terms of gold platinum, and so on, diamonds. But we're talking also of natural resources such as water bodies. The Nile is in Africa.
The sun?
The sun is another natural resource. We've got forests as natural resources. And we've got, you know, the wildlife. People travel to Africa to come and watch wildlife. I mean, all these are resources. But when you come to think of the people of the continent, it is, the people are so rich in many ways.
In human resource.
Human resource.
Creativity.
What is missing is the leadership that will harness all these resources that we have
and drive it.
And drive the continent to wealth. Because right now we're seen as the continent of poverty, the continent of disease,
shame, eh?
The continent of thievery and corruption. That's how we are described as. What is so pathetic is that when you watch the media presentation, especially media outside of Africa, you see thin, fly-infested people, children, running noses, you know, women who are so impoverished, their ribs are showing, and they are fleeing their country, and so on. But that's not the kind of continent that we are seeing.
Yes.
Dr. Cranton Pipim and I, we're seeing a continent where, because people have changed their mindset
about themselves,
you know, because the continent is going to be run by good leaders. The continent is going to come into its own, and it's going to be able to use its resources for a better life for its people.
Now, one of the comments that you have a lot of comments at the back from, you know, former President J. Kufuor and Francis Ademola, but he makes a certain comment that, for me, characterizes this book. He said that this book is very disturbing, but it's also very encouraging.
Mrs. Ademola,
I think that's the
because you have to face the reality
first
of what is what is wrong with the continent, and then come into appreciating that, look, there is a way out.
Yes. Now, on page 20, I think you also, there's something mentioned there that, for me, I think is key in looking at the solution to what you want to, and Dr. Cranton want to give to us. And on the 4th paragraph, you say, in retrospect, our independence was greeted with great celebrations born out of a feeling of accomplishments. Somehow, only a few caught the vision of the awful sense of responsibility that we face as a new nation. And it's talking about taking responsibility. And I think that that is where the gap came, that we just enjoy the independence, but we did not understand that when a child is born, it also means sleepless nights. It also means sacrifice. It also means taking stock of what, planning for the future. Please tell us a bit more about that.
Well, you know, there's always a lot of fanfare. You think you're leaving some kind of bondage. But out of bondage, you have to also take responsibility for the way your own life is run. I'm glad you used the analogy of a baby. Once the mother is having sleepless nights, the baby itself has to take the responsibility of ensuring that it stays alive. You know, the wonderful thing is that the baby has food available in the mother's breast. But the mother cannot do anything unless the baby is willing to suckle. And that is also great responsibility, because it takes effort for the baby to suckle and receive what the mother has for it. You know, and I think that as nations, we need to recognize that when you leave a certain state and you go into a state which you think you need to be, you take responsibility for the way you yourself ensure that you get the best of what is available.
You know, I was watching a video of with children actually about how, you know, babies fetuses come about, and how when they got to the stage where the child was the fetus was turning and trying to push out, I wept. I was like, wow, what strength, you know. You watch in slow motion, and so that what you're saying, that even the baby must take responsibility. And that's something that we haven't done, you know. But let's move to chapter 2, where we talk about a woman to remember. For me, that stands for going back and taking cognizance, like you said, and taking responsibility. Because Ellen and Esther, for me, represent what the courage of life, and working through your pains and your turmoils, and also going back to your foundation, which is something that I think we seem to be running ahead and looking for solution elsewhere and everywhere else, except
we have to look into ourselves.
Retrospect.
We need to look into ourselves and find strength. You know, one of the things that I find so remarkable about this woman to remember is the pain she went through. The pain, physical pain. Sometimes there wasn't even food to eat. And then there was also a lot of emotional pain. Being rejected by family, being rejected by friends, society, being rejected by society, by the community, and so on. And still recognizing that I have a responsibility. I have children I need to look after. And I will do everything and anything to make sure that I go through it. In a sense, it's representative of a lot of women in our country. Let me speak of Ghana, because that is what I know best. And I think that a lot of mothers go through what this woman to remember has gone through, to make sure that their children attain what they don't have, good education, even if it means selling everything that they have, doing menial jobs to make sure that their children do this. We seem to be lacking this in our generation. We've become a generation that is so selfish, you know, wanting everything for ourselves and nothing for other people. Nothing for other people. It looks as if we've become so self-centered. The iPhone and the so self-centered, and we fail to recognize that we always need to give out in order to even gain something. You know, you need to give out all the time. You're on the 360-degree lifestyle show, and I'm speaking to Dr. Joyce Rosalind. I like to add that one. I didn't, when I found out you were called Rosalind. You liked it. Yes, I love that name. Actually, I prefer it to Auntie Joyce, though my big sister is Joyce. But this is Joyce. So you're on the 360-degree lifestyle show, and the book we are reviewing is The Transformed Mind. The Transformed Mind. And of course, this is a show that helps you to unlearn, learn, and relearn some things, and we are your final finishing touch. Okay, we are looking at the mind as a measure of a person, and that's also in the book. Now, coming to true independence, you in chapter 3 you also said the true wealth of a nation. That's your caption. And I'm going to quote Khalid Gibran that you quoted, and Lao Tzu, and you said it well, that Lao Tzu said that the true wealth of a nation lies not in its gold or silver, but in its learnings, wisdom, and in the uprightness of its sons. You know, and then we also, Khalil, also from his quote, you said that something about not just being stationary, that you can be, are we at a standstill, standing still, and stand still. Yes, those two dichotomies. That what you think, standing and standing still. Now, so what do you think about Africa? Still standing is persevering through all your difficulties, but standing still is almost like no movement at all. But you know, life is dynamic. you have to move.
You
have to move. That's what makes life.
Yeah.
You see, and that's why in one of the paragraphs we say that in contrast to standing still is the concept of still standing, which is the ideal we need to pursue.
Yeah.
You see, because what we need to do is that we need to stand. And it brings me to a portion of scripture in Ephesians 6, where Paul tells the people of Ephesus that we should stand. After we've done everything, we should stand. We should stand.
Yes.
You know, because standing means going through all the difficulties, going through all the hindrances, and yet knowing that there's a forward movement, so you stand. It's almost like
standing still means courage. As well.
Yes.
And there's something you said. You were trying to expatiate on the quote, and you said, "Neither are we to stand crookedly, doubled over in discomfort, or propped by supports and braces, merely to show that we are still standing." And I think that for me, that's the picture of Africa. You know, some of us are bent over, some of us are crooked, some of us are in braces with injuries and wounds of economy and politics and social, cultural, you know, wounds and all that. But it looks seemingly as if we are still standing. You know.
But we're really retrogressing unless we do a 360.
You do a 360 turn.
Or
that's the other. That's the other side of the flip side of 360. You know, but the 360 stands for complete development, spirit, soul, and body. Okay, so now
you know, let me say something on page 49, where we say that neither are we to stand crookedly, doubled over as you read. Rather, we are to stand uprightly, without swaying, ramrod straight against bends and sways, actively engaged in purposeful movement. Purposeful movement.
Thinking,
you don't move just because you have to move. It has to be purposeful. It has to be intentional. We get involved in the kind of activity that brings, you know, well-being. That is what we should be doing.
That is what we
not
should
just
be doing.
Doing activity for its sake. You know, these days we're just so active, running up and down, but
busy for nothing.
Exactly. It amounts to absolutely nothing. That's not what we want.
There's so much in here, so we're going to continue next week. But on the Books and More show, we like to educate us on a few things. You know, we look at, we're looking at homographs, and we look at being agape. You know, my mouth was agape with wonder and surprise. A-G-A-P-E. Then we have the agape, which is a Greek word for love, God's kind of love. Okay, then we have buffet, which is a self-served meal. Then we have buffet, your body. You know, so I hope that's what Auntie Joyce said. We need to buffet our body and as Africans, and stand, you know, do whatever it takes to, you know, gird our loins and get it into shape so that the continent can stand. So that's the homographs segment. And we're doing a class series on Yours Truly Africa. You know, we look for the funny ways that we pronounce words. And I want to go to the word P-E-U-G-E-O-T. Is it Peugeot? Is it Peugeot? Which one is it? It's Peugeot. Okay,
which is a French word.
Which is a French word. So Peugeot, but that's Africa. You know, hey, Ghanaians and Nigerians, let's laugh at ourselves. You know, because it's not Peugeot, you know. But the second word I want us to look at is VOLKSWAGON. Or Volkswagen, another Oyabazi.
Volkswagen.
It's Volkswagen, because the Germans pronounce the V as an F and the W as a V. So it's Volkswagen. Auntie Joyce has made my work easy today. I like that. Okay, so that's Yours Truly Africa segment. Now we're going to move onto and Joyce, we're doing something on a series on personal development on our corporate segment. And last week looked at UVW, which is unlock your vision and then work. And that's what this book is telling us, that we must take cognizance and work at it. Independence means work. It means you must learn to work. So this week we are looking at X-ray, which is what you're talking about. That you need to X-ray your life and be able able to see, do a SWOT analysis and know where you're going.
Yes.
So let's talk a bit about the X-ray of as far as this, transformed mind.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of that you're asking us to do.
The way God created us is that there should be movement all the time. Though our eyes cannot see, our organs are on the move all the time.
Yes.
The heart is beating, the lungs are pumping,
air.
the veins are transmitting, and so on. The brain is functioning.
Yes.
And it is all these things put together that comes outward and makes us able to move and so on. It is the same for us as a nation.
Yes.
Each of us has something to do.
Yeah.
But you see, unless you recognize what you're capable of doing to add on, unless you go into yourself and you recognize that the world is not a majority, a population of one yourself.
Yeah.
Then you recognize that, look, like a net tied into something,
yes.
somebody else.
Yes.
And what I do affects somebody else.
Yes.
And so it is that X-ray that makes you recognize that really your life gets fulfilled only as you input into somebody else's life.
Yes.
Rather than thinking
isolation.
That you are, a Lone Ranger. I remember watching the film Lone Ranger, and I'm convinced that he was never a Lone Ranger,
yes.
because he had a horse.
Yes.
He had a horse, so that made him. So that is the attitude. That is the attitude. Go into yourself. Recognize that you have much more to give than you think you have.
Yes.
When you don't X-ray, but you merely look at yourself in the mirror, then you see all your warts, and then you think that, look, I'm good for nothing.
Value.
Exactly. So it is when you X-ray that you recognize that, my goodness, I'm capable of so much. And the X-ray also makes me know that, look, I'm there for other people.
Yeah.
I mean, why would an arm outstretch, except that stretching it means that you touching somebody else. Yes. Touching somebody else to do that.
So now the X-ray, then we looked at why is yield, so that we must yield ourselves to whatever we find, the values we find, in order to engage ourselves to move forward. And then the zest, that you must have optimism for life, and that's what this book.
You must have passion for life, for everything that we're doing.
Right.
Without passion, there is it's even worse than lukewarmness. Without passion, there's a certain placidity, which really makes too laid back, almost like a dying without passion.
So now this is what we've been talking about with Auntie Joyce on the transformed mind, okay? And you've been on the 360-degree show where we come your way with excellent training. We give you the finishing touch in our conferences, organizing of teacher training and student training, and also executive coaching. We also give individual and church coaching and training as well. Okay, now I just want to read a few of our messages here. Let's see if I can get some of them, of our messages. Yes, it says, hang on a second. Wow. Okay, I'm trying to read some of our messages, but it looks like, okay, now it's an honor to have Mama Joyce on the show today. Thank you, Mama Dimei, for bringing her and for teaching us so much on our brains and minds so far. It's Ato from Accra. There's always so much to learn from this show, and I wish you had more time to share more with us. Actually, this show is going to split into 2 from September. So yes, you can catch us, and you can catch the repeat at 6 a.m. on Saturday mornings. Okay, so you can watch these interviews. If you missed it, tell a friend to watch. And you can WhatsApp us on 0269-787-582 if you want any information that you on this show, or you want to get in contact with some of our resource people. And that's so I think I'll leave it here. There are more WhatsApps to read, but they said my time is up, and so I'll leave it here. And Joyce, finally, where can we get this?
We can get this at the Salt and Light Ministries Abilinkpe office.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
So we can
so
get
we'll
copies.
try and get some. But Auntie Joyce, a final thing. I know this year you celebrated your birthday. I haven't seen you.
Yes,
and
thank
so
you.
on behalf of 360.
Oh, thank
please.
you so much. Thank
This
you
is for
so
you.
much.
Thank you so much.
Lovely. Isn't this wonderful? Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're
right.
welcome.
Thank you.
So thank you for being on the show with us. We'll see you same time next week on the 360 degree. Remember, have a healthy mind, think positively, go out of depression, go out of bitterness, anger, frustration. All these things don't help your mind. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you thank you Juliet, Ahinkra, and Nanajwa for your support on the show, and thank you Nancy for my clothing, and Samanj for my hair. I'll see you same time next week. Until then, have a 360 degree lifestyle, spirit, soul, and body. Invest in yourself and eat your greeny leaves. Take care.